This is a rechargeable LED flashlight. I was sent this to review for free. It would cost you $30 to $38 to purchase one for yourself. I have not been paid for this review, so my opinions remain my own. Alright, so in this sealing case, we have the flashlight unit itself. A large, this is a 26650, so it's not an 1850, it's a 26650 battery. It says it's 5 amp hours, 5,000 milliamp hours, 3.7 volts. There is a belt holster with a snap and Velcro closure. This thing opens up here. It looks very small. I guess it has a lot of elastic on the side. It does fit. There we go. There's your belt holster. The flashlight has a zooming feature there, I can see. It has a plastic USB port here. This flashlight has a USB-A and a USB-C, so I'm assuming that basically allows it to be a power bank as well. So it includes a USB-A to C cable, so I'm assuming charging is through the USB-C port, and then you could also run another device off of it through the USB-A port. Now, it includes 3 AAA batteries as well as this rechargeable battery. So I'm assuming that inside the flashlight comes a AAA battery adapter. So yeah, they have your standard kind of AAA battery adapter for these types of flashlights with a sleeve that gets the size up to this guy here. I see no reason to use AAA alkaline batteries unless for some reason you've lost this guy. So we're only going to be reviewing it with the larger battery here, so I'll need to take the plastic wrapper off of that to put it in here. Alright, the manual has some specifications here. The most useful bit is that the plus side of the battery goes down, which is what I would expect, but it's good to confirm that. There's a few things in the manual where it talks about like a stainless steel bezel inlaid with 5X tungsten impact tips. So I think would be copied from a different manual or something, because it's obviously not applicable to this guy. This guy's all aluminum. Alright, so because this has a user removable battery, I am going to be testing this battery in an external battery tester to see what type of capacity it has, see if it lives up to its 5 amp hour capacity claim. Now, you put the battery in, you put the back with the spring on it. It does have a O-ring here that will basically keep water out of this joint once you tighten it up. You can also unscrew this part and take the whole back half of the flashlight off. It has an O-ring in there as well. There's basically just the battery compartment there. So in the front here, you basically have the button which turns it to high, medium, low, flashing light, and then an SOS light flasher. And in any of these modes, if you push and hold for about 3 seconds, it'll turn off directly. Now, it has the zoom feature, and that's about it. It's a flashlight. The other things you should know is that it has this little place here where you can charge this battery with a USB-C cable, so they include the A to C charging cable there. The manual says it would take 4 to 5 hours to charge it in the flashlight, and it says it takes 5 volts at 1 amp in. It also has a USB-A port where it can export power, so basically it acts like a power bank, and it has, 4 lights on there, and it can act as a little power bank as well, in addition to a flashlight. It has a thing here that says warning hot, and just putting my hand up here, it does start to feel hot very quickly just from the light. So there is a lot of light coming out of this guy. Now, size comparison wise, this guy, because it has the 26650 battery, is bigger than a lot of your mini flashlights. So you have like the little Harbor Freight Special, you have your 18650 style flashlights there, and then this guy is significantly bigger. It needs to be bigger around, but it's also longer. Balance wise, this thing balances forward a little bit, so I would carry it like this, and because you don't really need to push the button too frequently or fast, I think that's just fine to carry it forward like that. But you know, if you carried it just on this knurled grip area, it kind of tilts forward a bit, especially if you have it out in that mode. So I think if you have it out in the mode there, you might actually move your grip up a little ways. You know, it's moderately heavy, but not bad for a flashlight. So we're looking at 13.1 ounces, or 372 grams. Now, a quick little brightness comparison. This is my brightest flashlight so far, and then this is this guy. So you can see it's definitely brighter. And we're going to take it outside and shine it around at night to give you a feel for what it can do. Alright, we're first going to test the internal charger that's built into the flashlight. So I'm plugging in a USB-C power delivery charger here. And the USB-C power delivery charger is not negotiating power. So it's not charging with a USB-C power delivery charger. So you can't just plug it in to any charging bank. If you have a USB-C power delivery charger, it just won't charge. Now, they don't include that type of a cable. They include a USB-A to C cable, which is kind of just plugging into a 5-volt USB-A port. So I'm going to be plugging in that style cable next. So there's a USB-A to C cable. This guy here came from the factory pretty fully charged, so it has had 4 blue lights lit up before. Now it has 3 with 1 flashing. It's drawing 0.63 amps. So probably when that gets lower down, it would draw the full amp. And it will charge there just from a USB-C cable. But that is important to know that you can't just plug in your phone charger, a USB-C power delivery phone charger from a C to C connection. It won't recognize and negotiate and charge from that. So you will have to have the A to C cable and plug it into a USB-A port to charge this with this port. So that's a small downside there. When people buy a flashlight that just happens to have USB power bank functionality, they're not really buying it for the power bank functionality. But let's see how well it works. So 4.94 volts at half an amp. We're going to turn up the load here. Oh, and it died. So it does half an amp, maybe up to 0.8 amps, and then it seems to die. Alright, I unplugged and replugged, it came back on. I'll turn on this load, and it died. So it cannot get up to 1 amp. So expect to get maybe half an amp out of this guy, and it'll shut down if you draw too much. So it's not going to be terribly useful as a power bank. It might, you know, charge a small device. The advantage of a removable battery like this is you can charge it in an external charger, or in my case, I'm going to do a capacity test on this guy. We're going to do a charge test, and we're going to do the full 2 amps charging rate, because this is a 5 amp hour battery, so that's less than half a C. Alright, so the cell testers found the actual capacity of this cell to be 3 milliamp, or 3 amp hours. It's basically 3079 milliamp hours. Alright, so it's nasty weather outside, so I don't plan on actually going outside, but when I zoom the beam of this flashlight, it does a pretty good job of lighting things up pretty far away there. I don't know if you can see the dock and the kayaks on it, but I can certainly see them in that beam of light over there. Alright, this guy's fully charged. We are going to do a runtime test. Alright, we got the time-lapse camera going. I turned on the flashlight. We will see how long it lasts at full power. Alright, so technically the battery hasn't run completely out, but that beam is very, very weak sauce now. You know, it's 11 a.m. and I'm going to end the test here because this guy is basically dead at this point. It is kind of nice that it doesn't just turn off. It basically dims a whole bunch and goes down, so it's still kind of usable to get around, but it's definitely essentially gone, depleted the battery. Alright, so we have a winter wonderland going on out here, so I'm going to go off to a darker area to show off the flashlight. So that's a pretty good sized beam there. It's covering from the tops of these trees up here
down to this guy here. I'm going to zoom in a bit. So there's, you know, super zoomed in on this lime tree, and I can point it up at the top of this tree up here, and you can see those guys there. This camera isn't the best at night, but when I widen that out, I can see all of these trees here. You probably can't see like this tree here until I tighten the beam in, but even wide, I can still see that tree pretty well. So I've widened it all the way out, and it lights up that tree pretty darn well. So there's our dock out there with some kayaks on it. Now across the lake, it lights up the area a little bit, but it's not reaching all the way out there. You can see it's kind of overwhelming the LED lights on the Christmas display there. You know, here you can kind of just see there's the lights coming down. Here it's the whole ball, and you can see what's behind the lights. So yeah, you can see here with the house the difference of adding this light in to the Christmas lights. So this guy's plenty bright. You know, I have no complaints about how bright it is. It's plenty bright for just about anything you really need to do with the flashlight. This is the lowest setting. There's the strobe mode, and then there's SOS mode. Alright, so this guy puts out plenty of light. I don't have, you know, an exact lumen number. I can't, you know, measure that, but plenty in my opinion. The user replaceable battery only is a 3 amp hour battery, even though it claims to be 5. But if you really cared about that, you can buy a user replaceable battery and replace it with any battery you'd like. The USB power port feature really isn't terribly useful. It'll do maybe half an amp. It started, you know, conking out as soon as I drew more than half an amp out of it. So really, I think it's just you can charge it via USB port. In a real big emergency, you might be able to charge your phone with it, although you might have to turn your phone off to charge it, because, you know, a normal phone draw might just knock this thing offline. So really, I want it to depend on that USB port. But for flashlight usage, I think it's a pretty good flashlight.